let's go ahead and kick things off. So I taught myself, and you can look everywhere out there. You can look at boot camps. You can, I mean, anything you do, you can learn how to build your own repository, as you're saying. You can build your own code. You can build apps. You can build anything. But there's not much out there that teaches you how to contribute to other repositories. You can just stumble through it, but there's not much teaching you that. And that is like an essential skill set, because when you go to work at a company, you're not going to be just starting your own little app. You're going to be contributing to their repository, and you need to know how to work on a team. And there's even soft skills involved, but there's a lot of skills involved into that process. And so that's why me, Anna, and Violet, a lot of thanks to Violet for starting this, but we thought it was a really great idea to get this going, because you guys get that real life, like hands-on experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. I mean, I wish I had this when I was first, learning, because and this is something, yeah. This is something that not only is Anna going to walk you through the whole process, but we actually have the repository up for you guys to do. Yeah, you guys can watch the first video if you want to later and ask any questions, and you guys can jump on, choose, like, you'll see what I'm talking about later when Anna talks about it, but you can grab a ticket, you can work it, you can push your code, so you can learn like what it's really like to work at a company. And you'll even be able to put that on your resume then and say, I was part of working on this application. So I'll just start off this meeting. We're not going to do like the other ones. We did like a more of a presentation, or at least I did one. I'll just do the introductions and then we'll get started. My name's Kaylee. I'm one of the directors at Women Who Code, and then I'll pass it off. We have Violet and Anna here. We're all coworkers at Atamia, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm the UX engineer at Atamia. I'm on the product team. However, I was hired on as a software engineer. So yeah, I work closely with the product and with the rest of the engineers at Atamia.
Hey, I'm Anna. I'm a software developer. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I'm at Atamia currently, and I really am excited that this hands-on experience is going to be available for you guys to work on, because I didn't have anything like this when I started. I really major thanks to Violet for opening up this project for us all to work on. Looks like Chrissy and I don't know if Carolyn's on, but they've both been looking to contribute, and Chrissy's made her first MR that made it into the development branch. Yeah. So she did that all by herself and with some guidance from Violet. So how did it feel, Chrissy?
I have to say thank you to Violet so much, because she was so patient. I couldn't imagine, like for me, I made some mistakes and I didn't quite understand where it was going, because I haven't contributed to GitHub with other people. I've only contributed to my own repository, and I haven't done like tons and tons of different branches. I've mainly only done like one or two, and then I've merged it before I've uploaded it. So I was kind of making mistakes and putting things in the wrong branch, like master instead of development, and not really understanding like the difference between like with commenting and closing a pull request versus an issue. Like I got a little bit confused, so I was really glad that we're doing this tonight, because I kind of bumbled my way through it, but it worked, and I liked contributing, I liked getting feedback, and I really liked the whole process. It was good.
Excellent. Yeah, that's normal. Maybe I'll make some mistakes on purpose and see if I can get my way back out of them, so that you guys can understand, if it's, not the end of that it's not the end of the world if that kind of thing happens, And I kind of liken it to, a braid of rope. This is a good analogy. So, you might have a bunch of different threads, and when you're working on your code, it's just one big thread, and that is all you, and then, but when you're adding other people's code in, you want to it basically does this twisting thing, and so you might have a bunch of different branches that aren't quite lined up yet. So it could be there might be branches that somebody started and didn't finish, and they're not quite ready to go. But yet the rest of, like, say, you have a lingering branch and the code is still being made, and by everybody else contributing and making the rope, but your thread is still out here. How do you get it back? So we're going to talk about how to get that rope, synced up with yours so that you can keep building if you need to, or putting it back completely in line and getting that merge request in so that it can be brought back in. That's the best analogy I've found so far. If somebody else has a cooler one, tell me about it, because I'm all about analogies. A lot of times they break down though at a certain point, so bear with me there. Think we should get started? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lady. All right, I will share my screen. Probably already seen this before if you were at the last one, but what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and go into our terminal or git bash if you have it. And I already have the repository clone down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do that before we start, just in case you guys haven't gone through that part yet. So I'm going to go to the repository, LAH, short for Life at Home, and here we have the repo, and it has a big README. So basically, I'm just going to follow this real fast. So I'll copy the whole thing. And what git clone does is that it's just basically taking every single branch under the sun that's at GitHub, and it makes it available for you from this repository, that is. And it's here locally now. So I do a git branch. Oops. I'll get in there. It's usually it said cloning into LAH, so it's really important to read what's happening here at every single step. Don't take it for granted. It will serve you well. So go into LAH, and I have a little handy thing that helps me understand what branch I'm on. If you would like to know what program I'm using in order to be able to see my branch at all times, let me know. And so I'm going to do a git branch.
Hey,
And right now I'm in development. That's the only branch that's available right now for me to use.
Before you keep going, can you make the text bigger, please?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
You know what? Maybe I should just put it onto my laptop screen, because then I'll have to be doing this all the time. Oh, yeah, I'll just do that for now. Cool. So one of the things, this is a handy dandy shortcut, but it's basically doing two things at once. Right now I have the development branch, but I want to kind of show you this might actually work. Okay, awesome. This is the rope I'm talking about. So, we have origin development, which is basically, it stands for the remote development. I might not have the most latest and greatest up-to-date development here. Development without the origin slash means my local computer. So that means my machine. And origin head is basically the top of whatever's remote. So, and this is head or the top of development. This is like a history. So this is really cool for you to understand how things have happened so far. and where they're actually at. This is, I can post this into the chat as well at the end. So that's kind of a heads up. So now when I do a get checkout dash B, you don't need to take this down, by the way, that other one. But get checkout dash B is when you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make a new branch off of my current branch. And I know my current branch is development. For you, you would have done a get branch, and you can see this asterisk. You might have a whole bunch of different branches at some point. But so now I'm going to see what I can take off of this project to check out. So the project is completely different from Git itself. This is actually kind of just a nice app, like Jira or Trello could do this, but it's basically nice because you can link it in whenever you do have a merge request. You can mention one of these issues and it will at least keep track of what issue it is. So I'm going to do resource details. There we go. Thought I saw add or edit. Update resource status, maybe? Enter resource. There it is. That's the one I want. Okay, so I'm going to look over this and think if I can really realistically do this. As a provider, so just so you guys know, this is what it is so far. We have the activities for kids, exercise, yoga. This is all the cool stuff that's been entered in for us to check out of things that are life at home. So when she's talking about resources, she's talking about each individual basically entry of activity that you can do. So we want to be able to add or edit this in the app screen. So right now you can like search, which is really cool, by tags, or like, so we got NASA, that'll limit it down to K to 4, things like that. It's pretty neat. But I skipped ahead a little bit and I have a little contribute activity there. I'm gonna show you how I got there in a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and assign myself. Now, if you're new to this and you haven't been granted access to our Women Who Code organization, just ping us in Slack, or you could give us your GitHub username right now in the chat, and Kaylee or Violet will go ahead and get you started on that. So.
And I just want to note that a great way to know if you haven't been added is if you try to push up to the repo and you're getting a 4 or 3 back. That means you're unauthorized, which means you're not a part of the organization.
Yeah, you won't have right access. That's a good point. Okay, so I've assigned myself, but I'm going to let people know that I have it in progress. So I'm going to slide this bad boy over here. And so this doesn't do anything with my code at all. It's neither does moving it to code review. Just so you know, they're completely separate. It's just a nice app that keeps track of, different features and enhancements and bugs from more of like a product standpoint. A product team might, or a Scrum Master might manage this part as well, but it's really just for planning. So the actual Git stuff is here. So if it's basically, Beth's done a great job of saying like this is a feature or it's an enhancement. Sometimes we'll have the thing that says bug, but yeah, that's the issue type. So generally you want to do feature for this one since it says it's a feature, and whatever if it was a bug though, I would put bug /, and then I'm gonna type it, you know, I get free reign on what I name this here. I'm just gonna say resource add for now. And it can be in a separate merge request actually. So and that's completely my own. Now I cheat because I have this thing, which is super helpful, but I can also see where I'm at by doing a git branch. So it basically has, if I do that same log, I can see that development and resource add head are at the same place at the very top. So we're going to keep looking at this git log and see how it changes over time. If we have another branch off and see, like, you know, how it deviates. All right, so don't mind me, this is my actual space, so I'm going to create a completely new, and I should basically do the same thing I just showed you guys. That was like my own repo. So close your eyes right now. Oops. Pay no attention to this. Okay, so let's get oriented to what we're looking at. And I'm going to get this nice and big for you. How's that? Can you see what's on the left? Okay, cool. And let's just kind of get oriented. We have a main.js, and I've already put in the API key and the project. And we always start with app, and we have the navigation, which is that big spot at the top, the footer at the bottom, and then whatever the router provides. The router is a way to understand where you're at in the application based off the URL. So, for example, if I'm going to go to more details, it's going to take me to the /details/. So, and that's all being changed here. So there's this ID, and there's actually, I could file a bug if I wanted to, because whenever I did that, it's only small, it's not a big deal, but it doesn't populate the ID here. So if I ever wanted to go to this page on its own, I wouldn't be able to get here, because if I, oops, if I just put this in without any information about what happened, oh, never mind. Yeah, I guess it's the same thing. So it's like, this is the default one. So there's actually another issue for that. That's right. There's it details. It's not a bug. It's actually literally a feature, but it's got like a little placeholder figured out. So what we're gonna do is right here. I'm gonna add a path. I'm gonna do /resources and /add. And we give it a name. I'll say add resource. Remembering that it's JSON. So you have to do commas. And this component is going to be dynamically generated from this import function. And I haven't created this component yet. So how about we do that? We see about under views and home in the views as well, and resources. So I'm just going to basically kind of copy that. And I'm basically going to be making that momentarily. There we go. And
You're missing a comma.
what was that?
You're missing a comma.
Missing a comma. Oh, thank you. Yay. All right, I have some snippets here because I don't want to like bore you guys by doing every single thing like typey. Okay, so here I have a template and it's gonna have a form in it, but we don't know what that's gonna look like quite yet. So just leave it blank. And we're gonna test that this thing works. So if I go to /resources/add, there it is. It doesn't have anything in it yet, but we're gonna put that there. So now it's time to put a component in. I'm gonna call it form.view. You know what? I'm just gonna keep it simple right now, and these are components. So every component has a template and a script part, or just a template even if it doesn't have anything dynamic in it. And so now that that's made, I can go ahead and declare my form component, and let's give script so I'm going to say import form from, and this is pretty nifty. You can do @ which stands for source, and we've configured that somewhere else. Component / form.view, and then what happens is we export that's right. Name is going to be form. And so this is kind of this is registering the component so that view is aware that it exists. And there's no components in it quite yet. Sorry, actually this is add resources, and then we're registering form components, and within it I'm actually a back-end developer, by the way, so sometimes I cheat a lot. As long as it's open source or in your own project.
We all cheat a lot. It's okay.
No hard feelings. And so I'm going to make sure that everything's compiling correctly. It's very important. So developer tools is really important. Now this is an unrelated issue. GitHub is not defined on the instance. We don't care about that. It's okay. And I think we're finally ready to start making the innards of this thing.
I know one question was, what was the tool you were using to show the branch in your terminal?
So that's going to take a little bit to do, but basically it's I use iterm2, and I have like a bash profile, so I can have step-by-step instructions on how to get that set up. But I guess I'll just do real fast. Open recent. Actually, it would be. Oh, it's not in my license. This is something that compiles every time you run bash, run your terminal at all. So I have this handy function that says parse git branch, and this is one of those environment variables that it can read for you. So some magic there. I know it's a little off topic, but this is when you set PS1, you can actually set all your colors. I'm a big color queen. And I basically, it uses this this variable that was set up above to, or actually it's an environment variable, that is, because I guess I accessed it outside of that. But yeah, it's there. I can see it in red, which what I can see, I have different colors for red, but yeah, iTerm is really, like, whether it's iTerm or anything, actually, I think you can set this. So it's really cool. I'll give you some more tips and tricks in the Slack channel if you guys want to see more of that. It's more that I can. All right, so it's time to make the form. And we're going to start with a V form, which is cool because it has like basically submit functionality inside of it. And we'll get into that soon, but right now we're just going to get all those things ready for you. And first what I'm gonna do is make a v text field, and that's gonna be equals source.name, and sorry, that's going to be vmodel. Vmodel is in Vue. It's basically representing what variable inside of your data is forming that value inside of the text field. And the label is. I tend to go a little bit out of order. It's been one of my major complaints all my life, actually. So if I do things a little bit out of order, just wait for a second, and I'll get it eventually. So data is where you're storing all of your initialized components, initialized information that is going to be used up here. So I have to give it an initial value of empty string. I just like to know the contract. I don't have to necessarily. I could just leave it like this. But I like to know that there's going to be a name populated there. So I'm going to do that. And let's see if there's if it gives me any flag so far. Oh, okay, so we have our first name field. And this columns is 12 and MD4 is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do another column, and that's actually going to be 8. So basically, how I'm dividing this up is, if if my my page is divided up into 12, this is going to be 4 widths long, and then the rest of it's going to be 8. But I haven't saved it yet, so and this one's going to be a text area because it's going to be a description. Now, how do I know what the fields are? I really should have gone into that already. That's right, I have to use my other. So I'm going to look at the resources that are here, and this is really cool, super helpful. And it basically, I see the description, the name, the status, tags, and websites. That's what's involved with this. So I'm going to make that description text area. And let's see how it looks. This one, oh, I did log into this one. Yay, okay. Oh my gosh. Zoom, stop. Stop posting. I don't see it. Oh, that's right. This doesn't have a dash. Okay. Cool. So we have name and description. I guess I'll go ahead and do the tags here. And this is where it gets interesting. So basically grabbing the tags area, like we already saw that tags search, right? And we got familiar with that. And there's the navigation. There's already a V autocomplete. And if you guys ever want to see more about this, I'm going to cheat and Google it, but basically there's the documentation here. We've got some really cool things to play around with, and they give you the whole API, everything. And you can play with it. You know, they actually give you the source. Pretty sweet. All of this stuff is coming from Beautify. So I'm not going to do @change search. That was something that was there before, but I'm going to load that in at the very beginning. So, oh shit, I'm not in the right, I'm not in the right file. So glad I found that out quickly. So, copy clip is also a really awesome tool, or something similar to that. It has all my previously copied stuff. It is a lifesaver. So the V model is going to be resource.tags because you know, I'm setting, at the end of the day, I'm setting the tags on the resource. But the items that are populated originally are going to come from a different thing called tags. So I'm going to have that here. It's going to be initialized as an empty list. So how do we actually get the tags in there? Let's just see what it looks like for a second. It's always good to check it out. No data. All right. So let's get some data in there. Mounted is the lifecycle hook. When all the components, when the component is first initialized onto the screen. So that's where I'm going to call a method. And methods are defined as this is like standard structure for a view component. Fetch data for tags, I'll call it. And you know what? We actually already have that somewhere, and that's in the navigation as well. So first, I'm going to make sure that I have my Firebase available, my Firebase client, by importing that, and then also initializing that into our data. And then I'm going to copy this bad boy. Hello. And so this is going into Firestore, and if I go to my Firestore, I have resources. But this is that was a resources collection that we were looking at before, but this is the tags collection. And there's all of the things that we were seeing before. So it has one field, which is name. Neat. Zoom. All right, so I don't need resources. I just need for each, and then to push the doc ID and doc.data. Data is only going to be that name, basically, and this spread operator is saying, hey, you know, you're getting you have an object here. Why don't you give me all the fields associated with that, and then we'll combine them together into one big object. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically we have our new object, and this is some pseudocode. I'm just kind of showing you guys. This is some magic here. I don't need this links push thing. But basically, if you have an object that says that's you know, const doc equals this, and it's got ID foo, and then it's got like a method which is going to return name with some stuff in it like language. The data is what we're calling on .doc, and then it's going to return an object, and the spread operator says, hey, combine this with ID foo, and then they are one magical unit of victory. And of course, ID is going to be like a long ass, you know, thing like that. But that's essentially what I'm doing. If it seems magical, it is. Don't worry about it. It took me a long time to get through spread operators. So just hang with me if you don't know what that's doing quite yet. Okay, so I'm pushing the tags. Let's see if our tags is working. Let's refresh because it's on the mounts life cycle hook. Oh no, what did I do wrong? let's see. Name and ID. 1 second. This always happens at some point. So we use our friendly console.log, and we're also going to do another console.log here. Oh wait, you know what? It would help if I actually called the method inside of mounted. I do that all the time. Don't feel bad. And it needs a this on it for it to actually work. That's why it's not even being called at all. Good old console.log showed us that we weren't getting any output. There we go. All right. Gotta look at all these tags with IDs and names. All right, and then here it is. Boom. Beautify is so sexy. All right, so then that leaves the website. So this one, I'm just gonna give it like, it's an initial feature, right? We can always iterate. I'm just gonna give it like 3 websites. If somebody has more than 3 websites, I would be surprised. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to leave it there, and then I'll do another section for this so that it has its own space. And I'm gonna borrow and this one I'm gonna do maybe 12 because it's gonna be taking up the whole row because I think, you know, they need their own. I guess I could just do this. You can close it this way or you can close it this way. Usually it's good to pick one, but I can't decide sometimes. And then, actually I am gonna need to open that up. Not bad. So then, I'm gonna give it another, and doing things backwards again. I'm gonna let people know what this section is about. And then we're gonna make this a v text field with, I'm gonna do something called prepend icon, which is pretty neat, and show you what it is in a second. And let's see, does it need a label? I don't know. I guess it just needs a V model. And that's going to be websites, or actually 0. Yeah, I'll do that. This is going to be the second one. And this is going to be the third one. But it's confusing because, you know, they're different columns. Another thing is when you have like 3 divs or HTML elements that are going to end up being at the same level in the document at the end of the day, it's good to have keys on them. So otherwise, Beautify will kind of complain at you. So I'm going to go ahead and say b equals 0 on that, and g equals 1. icons too. Basically, it knows what to update in the future if you need to ever update it. So let's go look at the contract for the text field. And icon, prepend icon. Okay, I guess it prepends an icon. That's obvious. Let's see an example. Cool. This is how you prepend. So like, here's the it's a cool label. All right. And then how does it know what the hell to use for that icon? It says place is one of those. How does it get that? So if we go back to this, it says uses the same syntax as v-icon. This you know, looking through documentation is so like important to actually get a solid base on, because it helps you grow so much as an engineer. A lot of times we go to Stack Overflow, and I still hit myself sometimes whenever I go to Stack Overflow, because a lot of times I'm cheating myself out of more information about how something works if I do it that way. I've been noticing, so just kind of a hint. Obviously, if you need to go to that, you need to go to that. But anyway, so this is why I'm covering more like going into documentation, even though it's not like that fun. Okay, so then going into icons, and it says by default application will default to use material design icons. I'm gonna click that link. And sorry, I think my internet's a little bit slow. Hopefully I'm coming through okay. But yeah, these icons are taking forever to load. Yeah, they have like all sorts of ones. Like it just keeps getting bigger because communities are the community is adding more and more icons for people. But yeah, I originally searched for globe. Well, okay, I started with internet, and I don't want Internet Explorer. But then I did like globe, which I hope it would. Not very responsive right now. Good lord. Sorry, it's really slow. Yeah. So globe, it came up with Earth, so that was kind of cool, and I thought that would be nice to like put in our text field. So I'm gonna prepend that icon, and I think my placeholder will be to kind of hint to them. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Oh, it hates me. What did I do wrong? Oops. I'm gonna just cut that out, see if I can retrace my steps. Also, I'm gonna like stop putting this crazy output out there. Ah, you know, if I would have just looked at this, it would have told me what's going on. The container has no matching end tag. See, even I make stupid mistakes all the time. Okay, we're back in business here. And I'm going to put that shit back. So, handy dandy. Container, you always need to close shit up. And then, sure that's okay, add some sites. This is where having that stuff really comes in handy. The copy code. Alright, let's see what happens now. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Cannot read property 0 of undefined. Oh, that's right, okay. It's gotta be within resource. Boom! Here we go. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Alright. So, it's coming together. I think that's about it for all our fields. Thanks for watching me struggle. I appreciate it. JavaScript is not my first language, not my native language. So if I have a website in here, let's think about this a little bit. How are we going to actually submit this through? Because right now, it's just websites with 3 different slots, if you will. We don't want to send like a blank empty string for each of these websites since it's like a raw database, NoSQL document store. So it's like basically we'd be submitting a website to this array that's just an empty string if they didn't put anything else in, like I'm doing right now. I don't care about these other slots. So what am I going to do to get around that? So well, I think it's about time to put our submit button on. Which I don't have handy in my snippets, so I'm going to cheat again in another place. Don't memorize this thing. If you memorize it, I will have to kill you. It would be nice if we could actually open source that stuff. But, I don't know if the team is going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to put it at the top this time. And this is going to be our card that actually tells us whether we're going to save it or not. And so I have a cancel button, and this to syntax is to route us back to home if they don't care. It's a lot of extra stuff, but basically we want to save. And so if we have this lead form and we have submit, basically what we have to do is go create the submit method. And this is where we add the resource. And then we're going to do a catch. If there's errors, we're going to get those. And then what we're going to do is, before we call this, we're going to clear out the empty websites. So what I'm going to do is resources websites equals this dot resources resource websites filter, and I'm going to filter site, and basically it's only going to return when site does not equal empty string. That makes sense, right? Because it's going to be an empty string up here, unless they submit. So that way, we'll only get one website to enter at once. And what I'm going to do, before I do like a bunch of saves, what I like to do is I basically just log out the finished product before I actually submit it as, the final thing to Firestore. So I don't want to bake a bunch of faulty data and I don't know the contract is right. So make sure this is all mounted properly. Info, English, something that works for me. Stuff and things. And when I hit save, I see this is what's in our object that we're going to send to Firebase. So they've got the, oh, that's something else I had to figure out. It's using an ID. Is that what Firebase is using? No, it's actually using a name. So that's something else I've caught before I actually send it in. And then websites. Looks like we only got one array, so one object in our array. That's great. So I'm going to fix the tags to use the item value of name instead. And that's basically, this is saying what field in each of these tags to use in each object of the tag, whether it's the ID or the name, and the value. Basically, the value represents what it equals at the end of the day in the scheme model. And that's on a per object basis in an array. So it has a given contract, and we're all good there. And try again. All right. Language entertainment. Okay, great. I think it's time for us to actually save it. And maybe then I'm just going to say log out the response for now. And I'm going to say submitted. All right, once more with feeling. Whee! It's always fun testing. Okay. Submitted. Okay, we got a response back. Let's go see if it's in our database. What was the document ID? ID? Is this bad boy? Okay, filter. ID. I don't think I have ever done this before. ID. No. Wait. ID equals this guy. Oh no. What happened? Is it there? Yeah. Clear. Maybe it's there. I mean, I just saw it. Okay, fine, it's there. I'll get better with the UI soon. But it looks like it's in the right spot. So that's pretty cool. All right, I guess we're not quite done yet. Let's just make sure that we navigate whenever it's done. So I think it's this route butter.push for that. And also, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this guy because how do I delete it? Because it's an old thing. Delete. Oh yeah, delete that. Oh no, permanently. Okay. Very terse message there. Okay, so first I'm going to check the cancel. Goes back to where it's supposed to go. Ah, we don't have the button yet. That's also needed. Let's go ahead and do that real fast. I do things out of order, sorry. So, navigation, this is where we can add. We got to complete for the tags, and we're going to do the button, and 2 equals /resources/add. And attribute utility. I would ask product what the actual wording's supposed to be. Product is pilot. Okay, it takes us to the place now. Yay! Alright, cancel goes back. That's good. Do this one more time with feeling. I don't even want to put some flip sites in there necessarily. Save. Right. Obviously, it's not going to show up on here because, like, we only have a couple of tags that are showing at this very moment. But you know, you can always search for things. You know what? Forgot which one that I used. It might be show up here. I don't know. Let's just see. Did I take out the ID? Oh, I don't know what the ID is. There it is, financial and entertainment. There it is, cool stuff. Definitely don't want to keep that in there, but yeah, that's another way to verify that it's in there. So that, my friends, is the ad. And I think that's enough for one day. We can definitely do the edit, but I really want to show how this all lines up again. So always important to do a get status. See where you're at. Here's my favorite get command, okay? It's get add -p. And I'm going to make this even more good. I'm just trying to get that link thing to work earlier. I'm not going to submit that. So this is really cool. I can say yes, I want this to be committed, or no. So I'm going to say no. And this is really cool. So it goes line by line and shows you where, it's going to change things. Obviously, I have a bunch of lint things that are conflicting with, say Violet's linter things or whatever. So I'm not going to commit everything, but I'm not going to do it for every single one, right? Hopefully we get a linter pretty soon here and make it easier. But anyway, I can also do this thing with S. I can split, and I can just say I want that one instead of getting this whole thing, which is really cool. So I'm going to say yes, and then nah. It basically is treating each of these as chunks now. And this is the path. Wait, no. That's all linting stuff. I don't care about that. That's all stuff that is in a different place. Don't care about that. And, obviously this is not ideal in terms of my linter screwing things up, but I'm going to say no to that. Split this out. Oh, I won't split that hunk. That's kind of neat too. So I'm just going to say yes for that. Nope for that. Nope. And then, obviously, untracked files, they're completely new, so it's not going to know about that when you do the get add -p, nor will it if you just do like a get add force. So this is, you have to basically, these are always going to be ones that you want to, they're not going to have a diff at all. They're just going to be completely new files, and you have to add them one by one. Oh, no wonder it wasn't auto-completing for me. And if you don't have get autocomplete, you should get that. Now, I should have screwed something up for you guys. So this is looking pretty beautiful. This one I didn't care about. But, it's actually really cool that they changed Git recently to use like Git restore to discard a change. It used to be some weird thing. But, yeah, I guess we'll have, I can't think of a thing that I can try to screw up right now for you guys to like try to come back from, but I'll keep something in mind for next time. I'm gonna go ahead and Git restore the other ones because the package JSON was just a test for something, and these are the left behind changes that I said no to in the get add -p, which -p stands for patch, by the way. So I'm gonna restore those. And after you do anything, you always want to do get status every single time. So get status, and now I can do get commit. I'm gonna say resource add. Get status. nothing to commit because it's already committed. This commit doesn't, it basically packages it up in a nice little bead or something, I guess, if we were going to say that that's on the rope. So, yes, the analogy is really coming together now. So, if we have a string or a rope with the threads on it, but they all have beads on them, they're going to have to be able to go in order by, whether that's a timeline or by like where they fit in the commits history from everybody else. So essentially, this is on my local. So I'm going to do that crazy branch history log thing that I had before. I forgot what it was. Actually, history. History is great too, guys. Oh, it was in a different terminal. God dang it. I don't see it. Okay, git log, visualize. And line. There it is. I should get this into an alias. I used to have it as an alias. Okay. So here we are at head resource add. It's ahead of development. It's one commit ahead, and this is a bead, right? Each of these asterisks with a commit hash is a bead, and it's ahead of development. And I'm going to see before I do anything. I just did a clone this morning, so or yesterday morning rather, and I don't think that there's been any changes since then for you to see. But it's very important that even after you've committed this, you go back to the development branch. And how you do that is, since it's committed, I just see my log. I see my commit with my bead here, the resource add, and this is from Chrissy's pull request a while ago. Oops. See, and that's in development. And it actually shows me there too. That's another way to see it. So my stuff is set. I don't have anything that I've changed since then. I'm gonna check out development. It's actually behind origin development by one commit. That's awesome. Somebody was doing something. So I'm gonna do a git pull to update my local branch. Now they say use git pull. I do git pull origin in the name of my branch every single time because you never know. I don't know. There's been some weird configurations on certain boxes in my past, and I get kind of sad. I get kind of scared, and so I always really, spell out what I'm doing here. Git pull origin development. Oh no, my changes for the following files will be overwritten by my merge. I thought I did, actually that's a good mistake that I made. Thought I said not to include main in here, so I'm going to go to the README. It says git update index assume unchanged for this, and that's just a way so that we don't ever commit our credentials into the GitHub repository. So status. No, I should if I did a git status, it would have helped me. So I did a git status up here. Sometimes I still forget, but git status would have caught that before I even did anything. So, try this again. Oh no. Okay. Let's see. What does get update index do? This is a fun one. I mean, I know at a very high level what it does, but I'm gonna learn more about it.
Hey, Anna, can you go to your main.js file right quick?
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, this is kind of like a unique situation, something going on, but it's honestly
Yeah.
like something really great to see because we're getting to actually like see her debug like an actual problem that's coming up that she didn't expect. So
line 21. Just delete line 21.
Oh, 21.
And save it, and then do a git pull origin again. Git pull origin development again.
It's not even registering that I changed anything because of that update index thing. I wonder. Okay, I'm just gonna try to like remove that. And then I'm gonna use that other thing which showed was in the list of files that has the update index, and it's not there anymore. That is now it says that. Okay. Store. So I'm actually what I'm gonna do now is because I don't actually want to add it to anything. I'm just gonna see what the difference is. So from the head of my branch. So git diff. Looks like my like it's a bunch of linter stuff. That is not great. So I don't care about that stuff. But it looks like we're not. The main point is that we're not putting this stuff into the repo. It's still key and project ID, and it's fairly, it's nice and innocent. So I'm going to go ahead and do a git restore on source main. So git diff is what I just used in order to see the differences there. And now I should have nothing on my tree. And nothing should be in pending mode. So, crossing my fingers. Boom. All right. We're there. So, update index, assume unchanged is something new that Violet has put in place just so we don't put those credentials in. And it's really, I'm glad that we did this because that could happen to anybody. You don't realize you're on which branch you're on or what commit you're on when you run the command in the README. And at least if you come across this again, you actually know how to get out of it. So I'll also post that what we did to get out of it into the Slack channel. And so if you guys ever run into that, you'll be good. And then, it's kind of fun because most places I've never used that, and it's a cool feature. So, and you get to learn a lot more about Git in the process. So it really is a blessing in disguise. So now, all right, we never did submit our thing, right? So we've pulled in development. That's like taking, oh man, it's really dark where I'm at. Turn this on. So if we have our rope analogy with the beads, we have a big strand with a bunch of beads that we've taken out. It's our thread, which is our branch, and it has extra stuff, right? And then we have development, and we've gotten more of that thread, so that we can put it in. Otherwise, we'd be trying to put it in we'd be trying to wrap the rope at the wrong point in time, or we wouldn't have enough rope to put it in there yet. So it would be behind, and it would not work. So now we have them at exactly the same length, and we can fit them in there. So now I'm going to go back to, I'm going to list my branches again. My branch was the feature add resource, not the resource solution, which was one I practiced with before this point. I'm going to check out the feature add resource. I'm going to do a quick git log to see that my resource add from earlier is there. And I'm going to do git merge development. And this is where we're making them all up to date with whatever you've worked on in your team, like Chrissy's stuff, Violet's new change. Yeah, I see the new change to source main.js right there. It's now in my branch, so I can do a git log, and I have this commit that shows that I merged it, but I also have Violet's there. Before, it didn't even have it. So it's using that timeline again to actually understand where the commits go. And I also have the most up-to-date code at the same time. So now is the point in time when we can make a merge request. So this is a bunch of clicky-click stuff. It doesn't have to be if you're like a Git wizard, but you don't have to be. So remember, this project area is like basically Trello, Jira. That's not where you want to go. You want to go to pull requests. Oh, merge request, pull request, it's the same thing, just so you know. And I'll do new pull request, and I will select my branch. So, now I don't see my branch. Why is that? Well, I only have it locally. So what we're missing is git push origin head. I could say head, or I could say my branch, which if I didn't have my handy bash profile thing there, I could do git branch, and I could see whatever has the asterisk to get that. And I could do git push origin that. Head is literally like the top of the rope, or the most recent bead in your rope, in your strand, not your rope, your strand. So git push origin head, and now look, see, it's writing those objects and pushing them up. And it's actually pretty cool here. This wasn't around when I first got coding with Git. They actually have a nice little handy thing here for you. But I figured I'd go ahead and show you how us oldie goldies used to do it. You can't see it anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and refresh. You can't see the branch that I'm looking at. Example comparisons. That's cool. Add resource. And this is where it gets really cool. You get to see all the new stuff. That's it. That's a completely new file. And I like to just go through this and see if there's anything that I missed. I'm sure, this is a really early thing, where we can go back and iterate on things, but, I could have some console.log statements that I forgot to take out. You don't want to commit print statements, or I see opportunities for comments where there needs to be. But right now, it's pretty simple. And then I'm just gonna hit create pull request. And here's the cool spot. I can request Violet's approval on this, and I can actually mention the issue that I was working on. So I'm going to go ahead and open that project so that it gets all tracked together. I'm going to go see what this one is. I forgot how to do this, and I usually use GitLab, so.
So the number, which is number 5, you can just do like closes number 5 in the comment.
Oh, hell yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, assign it to yourself. Assign it different here than in GitLab.
Nice, and you know, it's red. It's not because I did anything wrong. I'm just gonna wait until for somebody to review it.
And if you notice where it says linked issues, you can now see that, hey, it linked it to that issue.
Oh yeah.
Closes number 5.
That's cool. Yeah, and then also what's cool is like I've seen in some big open source repositories, they also have like the same pull request might link to a whole bunch of different issues that get closed at the same time. So it's kind of fun to see like a bunch of bugs get closed by somebody's changes, which of course creates new bugs at some point. But you know, it's a never-ending cycle. So yeah, then Violet's gonna review this and get back to me. But once that happens, actually now I gotta do the app version. Is completely different for review, or I don't know if it would have if I just refreshed it. It would do that automatically. I don't know, but and then yeah, once she approves that, then I think Violet moves it to stage, right? You should tell us about that.
Yeah, so the difference between staged and done is that done is in the master branch. Staged is in dev but hasn't made it to master. So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you merge it in, you can move it over. There's still some automation things I have to fix so the tickets move over automatically. And Chrissy, to answer your question, yeah, so the question was, does the linked issue happen automatically when you comment closes issue number 5? Yes, so as soon as you do like number 5, number 12, number whatever, it automatically links the pull request to the issue and the issue to the pull request. So
yeah,
right there.
Yeah, cool. That's neat. I'm so used to GitLab, which is also they have like some similar stuff to this, but this one's like nice and clean. But maybe we could also have some stuff put into the Slack channel or something where it's like master branch is it would be production environment. I don't know if you guys do you have the production environment set up, or is it just kind of development right now?
I do not have a production environment set up quite yet. I want us to get to an MVP point before we officially start putting things into quote unquote production.
Makes sense to me, yeah, especially without having auth quite yet. But yeah, normally on a team that's doing like a company wide thing, and you've had enough security and login stuff done, auth done, then you'd have 2 separate environments, and usually the development branch would be, it'd be lowercase development like you're used to seeing. It would actually, once it gets merged into the development branch, that would kick off what's called CI/CD, or actually continuous delivery would be putting it into the development environment. And here it's saying it's staged, so if it's in the development environment, that's what they call it. But sometimes they say, it's ready for UAT or things like that. And then master usually would mean that it points at a production environment. Right now it's a little bit different, but that means that it's done in this column. So I'm just kind of reiterating what she said, but then giving a little bit of extra color in terms of, like, if we were, if this was like ready to go, like we had an MVP all the way done, then it would have a production environment when you hit master. So just be careful when using the master branch. Be very, very, very careful and sweet to it, and look at every single. I mean, this is already obvious, but look at every single git status in between commands. But you need to be ginger with the master branch, because that is where the product meets the customer normally. So, and we can help you if you ever get stuck, and you accidentally found yourself on the master branch. But just treat it with care, treat it gingerly, and we're always here for you. All right, I think that's about it. Are there any other questions, comments?
There was a question about leaving comments in code. I responded, but I didn't know if you wanted to verbalize the response to that. Do you want to?
Sure.
Anna? The question specifically was, it's two-part. So we could put comments into our code that we merge, and the second part is, are comments considered a good thing?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, depends on the comments. Comments are good when there is something that's non-standard. I like to actually, and I didn't do it this time because I wanted to respect the amount of time that we had. And then also, it's not like, if I was working a back-end story, that's very procedural, and it wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be in the markup language like the HTML looking syntax you would see in the templates, right? Where, comments are more prevalent. And how I normally code for backend stories is I actually put each of my steps in comments, and then fill in the blanks of what the actual code would do right under those comments. So I'm really clear on that. And I actually use to-do : space, and that gets really highlighted in my editor as well. And so big no-nos are commented code. Like, we don't really, like, the point of source control is that we can always go back. We can always go look at some code that we needed at some point. Or we could submit a separate branch with that code in it. Or even make a snippet and put it into gist or gist, depending on how you want to say it. I'm actually going to share my screen for just a minute. But yeah, like, so I have, whenever I need to see the SQL commands that are happening, or debug level on this, I have that. I have like Docker command stuff. Anytime that I have something that I'm like, nobody's going to want to read this, but I want to read it, I kind of put it in here. So it's just gist or gist.github.com. And you can make a secret one, or you can make a private one. All right, any other questions? Comments?
Well, if that's it, then thank you, Anna. That was awesome. Yeah, it was a really good session. See, there's some comments. Yeah, if anybody else that didn't put their email in the chat, go ahead and put that there if you want me to add you to the Slack, and I'll get that done tonight. And otherwise, we'll keep you up to date. Watch Meetup for the next lesson that we do, and we'll also keep updates in the Slack channel. And if you want to hang around for a couple minutes, you can ask more questions, but otherwise, have a great night.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
An odd question. I mean, maybe it seems silly,
So I'm just curious about the structure of like the project as far as like are people in the group, if they feel confident in like tackling an issue, are they going to start doing that, or are we kind of doing this over time after like going through some of these types of things? I'm just curious.
We already had one person grab a ticket and do it. Chrissy actually did one. She pushed it up maybe like a week or two ago. So yeah, if you feel comfortable jumping in and taking an issue, by all means, go for it.
I don't know about that, but I was just curious. I haven't used Vue before, so I have to look at documentation to kind of study the format and everything. I'm just finishing up a coding boot camp, so it's like,
I do want to know, this is Vue and Unify. I don't want to specify that because some of the components, like the E-text that I use, is specific to Unify.
okay, that's what I was kind of wondering. I was going to research that because I was assuming that that's more of the styling of it, like the bootstrap version.
Yeah.
In my brain. That makes sense.
Yeah, we're hoping more and more people will start contributing, and I mean, I didn't have this available whenever I was getting started, so, I would have loved to have, some sample stuff of my work out there in an open source repository where it's like a team was working. So
we've done 3, well, we're in the middle of the last, we've done 3 projects like kind of like this using like GitHub and project stuff, but they're very small groups, and I feel like I also need to have things that aren't just specific to like what we did at boot camp, because everyone in the boot camp has those similar things. So
if you guys want to stick around for just a second, I can get that that pretty git command that I was using in the chat for you guys. There you go. I don't know if did they fix the copy paste issue that was in Zoom? Nope. No? Oh, that sucks. All right, I'll put it in Slack too.
And so everyone knows, I will be creating a video from this that I'll be posting later on the Slack channel, and you'll be able to find it shared with the following meetup as well. So that'll be there. It'll just take me a few days though to get uploaded. Cool.
It's cool watching in the chat.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the chat.
I have kind of